Welcome back for another video. As highly requested, I'm delighted to welcome back FPL World Champion Ali Jahangirov. He's going to be sharing his new FPL team with us and also answering your key FPL questions. He's just released an ebook called Winning FPL. I'll put a link below to that in the description. In case you didn't know, his rank 1 finish was no fluke as well. Last season he came 215th in the world the season before, so up there is two of the best back-to-back seasons ever. Ali, good to see you, mate. How you doing?
Good to see you, Oscar. I've been doing fine, thank you. It's always nice to be here with you, chatting FPL.
Yeah, I appreciate you joining us for this because Ali said he's on the road just before we hit record. So he's on a 4G hotspot, so I appreciate you making this work. I meant to ask, by the way, what was actually the prize you got for winning FPL last season? Have you received it yet?
Not yet. I'll be traveling to the UK in end of August. So it's two Premier League games. One of them will be Arsenal Fulham, and another one is Arsenal Manchester United at home.
Okay.
And a week, basically, touristic places. Some of the There are some other prices. There's a list of prices, but I haven't received them yet. So I'll most likely be getting them when I visit London. So,
We'll have to meet up for a pint when you're here.
oh, absolutely, would love to. I'll let everyone know.
Right, let's pull up your team then. So Ali's got his latest draft here. There's loads to talk about here. Do you want to perhaps just run us through some of the players? I'll read it out in case we've just got anyone listening on the podcast. He's got Ramsdale in goal, Estepinian, Shaw, Stones defence, Rashford, Saka, Trossard, Mitoma, Foden, Haaland up top captain, and João Pedro. On the bench, Trent is first, then Baldock and Mubama. So yeah, talk us through the team.
It's fairly template with a couple of differentials like Trossard and Foden. Maybe you don't see showing a lot of teams because of Onana. After his transfer finalized, a lot of people just went from Shaw to having Onana instead, and I think Shaw has a higher upside than his potential in terms of attacking points is always he's always been there, and I prefer him to Onana. Ramsdale, there's a lot of talks with Raya coming in and replacing it. I'm not sure if he replaces him straight away because Ramsdale hasn't done anything wrong, and Raya will be sitting there and waiting for his moment. So I'm pretty confident Ramsdale is still number one, but they will be competing. So if anything, his Raya's arrival will only make him better
Yeah.
in terms of competition. And with other picks, Trossard, I cannot ignore the preseason he's had so far, and even in the game against City, it was a deflection, but he creates goals, he makes goals, and basically he's someone that brings goals to the team, and that's why I have him in my team. Drop head though, he's on penalties for sure now because after scoring his second penalty. I think he will be nailed in the team, and on pens, the price point is great. I think he's a no-brainer. So
Yeah, I agree with what you said about Ramsdale. By the way, I just don't see a world where Raya comes straight in. Maybe it becomes a problem later on, but we could be talking after first wildcard anyway. So I do agree with that. So it's interesting that you're sticking with the Shaw Ramsdale combo because I know a lot of people are looking at Anana and then an Arsenal defender like Gabriel or Saliba, which does free up the zero point 0.5. But obviously, as you said, there's attacking potential there with Shaw. Yeah, João Pedro, he's come out of absolutely nowhere. I think last time we spoke, you had Enciso, who's obviously not gotten much of a look in pre-season. João Pedro has been the one who's been playing up top or just behind, so perhaps he's the first choice there. And Luton at home, irresistible fixture, and on pens as well. So yeah, that's an exciting one. Are you, just on Trossard then, are you at all concerned that he didn't start in the Community Shield?
um, a little bit, but I think with the change of rule in terms of the added minutes for the game, we'll see a lot of more game time for the bench players. And I think if even if it's 30 or 40 minutes out of Trossard against the tired legs of the say forced opposition, I think he could do well. So there's that upside in the rule change as well.
And it's a good point actually. When you're talking about players coming off the bench, right? There's this season we're going to see probably record stoppage times because there's this new rule, right? They're going to try and do World Cup style stoppage time to actually reflect stoppage. I've got a few notes here. Elsewhere in the Football League in Game Week 1, there was an average of 16 and a half minutes added time. So that's, a sign of things to come. So perhaps that does mean, if there's players like Foden or Trossard that get the odd bench and there's more potential for them to get something off the bench. Has that at all factored into your thinking at all, in terms of clean sheet points or maybe nailed attackers that might get more time to get your return?
It's yeah. There are some players that could really do well off the bench, and I think Trossard, just like he did in against City, just like let's say Darwin, there are a lot of players that would come off the bench and just destroy your tired legs opposition. And it's one of those, if Foden is not on, in the squad for Burnley game, I think I can just easily go with Trent instead. So he's on my bench. So that's a contingency plan for occasional City benching.
Okay, all right. So let's talk hypotheticals then. So it's 10 minutes to the deadline in Game Week 1, and there's some news that Foden doesn't start. So your backup plan, are you going to just start Trent, or would you swap Foden for someone else?
If, it depends on the team use of different teams as well. I think I like Foden. I think he really, after a couple of game weeks, he gets into the rhythm and his ceiling is absolutely monstrous. That's why I don't mind keeping him on my bench as well.
And just on Trent then, so yeah, Trent first on bench. I think really he's slowly bled ownership in recent weeks. Um, obviously we know what he's capable of, and he's probably in store for a great season. Those that have watched them in pre-season have said without a defensive mid they look a bit vulnerable. Are you backing Trent to put up the points to justify the 8 mil tag, and perhaps Liverpool sign a defensive mid before the window closes?
I think for game week two, you have to have Liverpool assets, whether it's in attack or defense. And I don't. It's either going to be Trent or some of the attacking players because I want to have a piece of Liverpool against Bournemouth at home. I think there could be a really repetition of last year. It won't be 9-0, but we know there are goals in this game, and they've been scoring a lot of goals in preseason as well. So I really want to have Liverpool assets because it's hard to get to them. The nailed ones, I mean, the Salah and Trent, but the rest, Hakpo and Nunez and Diaz, they're easy to get, but you never know which one of them starting.
Yeah.
But even with Diogo Jota classified as a midfielder this year, is going to be a good asset in some point of time, but you never know
Yeah,
when.
yeah, I agree. Yeah, Liverpool really annoying. Salah 1 goal, 6 assists. You just know he's going to start the season well, but it does hurt your team balance. Obviously, you've come to the decision that it's not worth the 2 premiums. Yeah, Jota, 3 goals, 3 assists in pre-season. Darwin's got 4 goals, 1 assist. Yeah, Gakpo's got a few returns. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of points there, but yeah, it's just besides Trent and Salah, it just feels like such a gamble which ones to go for. So maybe it's a wait and see. So I've got a few questions here that people have sent in, so I'm going to field these to you. The first question I've got is from Martian, and he said if you could share any one piece of advice for a successful season, or if you do have more than one, don't worry, that's fine as well. What would your advice be?
It was part of the reason why I went on with the book. There's a lot in my mind that I wanted to share, and the basic principles that led to me and led me to the top of FPL. But I think the most important for you is just following your own game, just playing your own game, following your own guts, and trying to have as much fun as you can. Because if the negatives outweighs the positives, I think there's no point of playing this game. And there's enough positives in it, believe me. So try to have fun with it. And as long as you have fun during the season, I think it's been successful. So.
Yeah, I mean, on that note, last season, and it looks like this season, you're going to be playing your own game because there's a few players you've got here that I've not seen in many drafts. But you are in Haaland captain actually, so let's look at that for a second. I watched the Community Shield and he looked a bit isolated. I think they did miss De Bruyne, but obviously he's back in contention. No shots on goal from Haaland in the penalty box. No touches in the penalty box either. He hasn't actually scored for 6 competitive matches. Are you locked in on Haaland captain, or is there potential for that to change by game week 1?
Absolutely. There's too many factors going against him. I'm just kidding, but the fact that it's the first game of the game week, it's a Burnley away game. It's not Dyche's Burnley, but it's still, they will be fired up against the champions, newly promoted team, and I think there's a good chance I'm captaining someone else from Arsenal, or probably Saka is the second alternative for me. Maybe even Rashford is up there as well. So I'm not really completely locked in on Holland captaincy.
Yeah, I'm on the fence as well. It's the ownership that scares me. I have to ask you about that in a sec, by the way. The ownership is
Yeah.
scary. If he does go and puts up a hat trick against Burnley or something, I think last season he blanked in the Community Shield, and then obviously the rest is history once the season kicked off. So yeah, that is at the back of my head. What if I back Saka, and Saka doesn't get anything and Haaland does? It just feels like it's going to be an uphill battle from there. There was actually a question about that. Let me see if I can find it here. Yeah, it was from Vinmatry FC. He said, how much of a damage can one take in the opening few weeks, let's say until the first international break, to still recover and win the whole thing? What would you say on that?
If you take a look at my game week 3 rank of last year, you wouldn't bet on me winning it. I think I was ranked around 3 million, and it was really, I had to recover fast at that point because I was really behind. My first 2 or 3 game weeks were really, really bad. But I've managed to climb up, I think after game week 6 or 8. You need to start well in order to, have decent chances of finishing well as well, because um, it's not just it happened with me, but I got really lucky because I could have just went on and a couple of decisions here and there, and I would just be floating around 2 million and 1 million up until game week 15 or 16. But I think I was around 3K before the World Cup break, so I recovered fairly quickly. But you don't want to. Ideally, you want to start well. So just go with a fairly template team. It won't damage you much, but slowly you can build up with some of the differentials, some of the low on picks.
So yeah, I was going to ask, what's your process then for recovering to a bad start? So basically, picking differentials and nailing those is the way you did it last season, at least.
Yeah, last season I went against Salah by getting Kane, Foden, and Luis Diaz. Diaz was basically covering for Salah points, and Kane and Foden were just doing the business for me. Later on, I got Madison, and just a fair amount of good differentials that would score here and there, and I think you can recover from it.
So you're a lifelong Arsenal fan. There is a question from Creve AFC. He says Arsenal this season. He's basically asking what are your thoughts on Arsenal this season. What do you think about the new signings?
I think new signings are fantastic. I will be backing all of them anyways. I wasn't really. Havertz signing was kind of out of nowhere because not like I enjoyed him, watching him for playing for Chelsea, but I really liked him back in Bayer Leverkusen. When he went to Chelsea, I wish he would have gone to a different club, but uh, it's exciting to see, good strengths in depth. I really like Timber. I think he looked
Yeah,
fantastic against City.
yeah, he did.
He's versatile. I just love the energy he has. He's calm on the ball. Overall, I love the. I haven't been this excited for a start of the season as an Arsenal fan for a while. Last year's success was really unexpected because a lot of
Yeah.
pundits and football experts were just not even including Arsenal in top four. So we didn't even expect challenging for titles ourselves. So. But this
Yeah.
season we're really excited. I think I'm back in Arsenal to win it this year.
Yeah, I'm really excited as well. Yeah, I mean, recently we haven't really missed with a lot of the signings we've made. And yeah, with Jesus injured, obviously that's not ideal. But yeah, I think Trossard could emerge as an excellent pick as a consequence. So yeah, I do like that you've backed him there. There's a question here from Smacks FPO 840. He basically said, did you have a template team or did you have a lot of differentials the year that you won FPL?
I had quite a few. Um, in the beginning of the season, it's my golden rule. I have to have two or three differentials, otherwise I'm not having fun with it. It's whenever my team is fairly template, I'm just trying to sway away. And I've had differentials throughout the season. You don't win FPL by playing template. That's for sure. At least I don't know anyone who's won it by playing template. So you have to have differentials in your team, and you have to have them in the right moment because sooner or later they stop being differentials.
Yeah, well, I remember Ben Crabtree won FPL. I think it was about 2014 now, but he was an Everton fan, so he didn't own any Liverpool assets the whole season. So, yeah, sometimes you just have to differentiate at the right time, which is easier said than done. Yeah, so I've got a question for you as well. So the 4 mil defenders, it's rare that we get many, but this season we're kind of sport for choice. We've got Bulldog by Kabore, Bell, Aldakil, maybe Gusto if James gets injured. You've got Bulldog. How comes he's your pick of the bunch?
I think Bogle is currently injured, and it's just a good reminder of the 4.0 defender as a Lundstrom from Sheffield United. I'm not sure if they're solid at the back at the moment, but I think it just nice little reminder of those good times.
Yeah, Lord Lundstrom, what a season that was. I don't know if we'll ever see anything of the likes again, because obviously he was a defender and played like a box-to-box mid at times. But yeah, Bulldog, a few seasons back, he did well in the Premier League for Sheffield United. Yeah, and as you say, Bogle's injured, so I'm on the fence. I had a look at their underlying stats last season, and for expected goals conceded, surprisingly, they were actually slightly worse than Luton. So I'm on the fence between Bulldog, Bayer, and Kabore at the moment. I think Bell might play left centre back, so I think he's out of the ruling. It's those three.
To be honest, I don't like any of them. I had a I had a draft when I think Matty Cash instead. It just to you know feeling better about your bench, but I'm not sure if it will be needed. I have a strong bench as it is because Trent Alexander-Arnold is is up there.
And what about the 6.5 mil mids then? Because this has been such a headache for me. I don't know about you. I've been going back and forth between them. You've got Mitoma, who's the template pick, but I've seen Mbumo in quite a few teams as well. You know, he's on penalties. Took one in pre-season. Takes corners, and then there's Mitoma. He's obviously got the fixtures, best of all of them in Game Week 1. And then Eze's having the best pre-season. He's got like 2 goals, 5 assists. So you're on Mitoma at the moment, but are any of the other 6.5s close?
This is the reason why I have differentials in those price points, 7 and 7.5. I could easily move down from whichever one is doing good. I want to bet against Mbomo, but I like Eze a lot, and I like Diaby from Aston Villa as well. So I think I have a route to them by selling Trossard or Foden, but we'll see how they all develop.
Yeah, so is that something that's important to you then, hitting those price points to easily move around?
Yeah. When picking differentials, yes, because it's easy to sell a differential because it's a low owned player. You don't take risks, and you just easily sellable assets. And last year I had Darwin in my first game week draft, and I think it was easy to sell him. It was easy to move him on. But once you have, let's say, 4.5 or 5 million midfielder, it's easy. It's really hard to upgrade him. These players are good enough easy enough to go jump off.
And what about, let's play devil's advocate then. Let's say that Watkins starts the season really well, or Nkunku's back after a couple of game weeks, and he looks like the one to have. Obviously, that's a price point you can't get to unless you sell Haaland. What's your thinking there? Is that just going to be a combination transfer?
Yeah, it should be a combination of transfer. I don't like to make transfers in game week two. So a mini operation in game week three I'm sorry about who cut
Sorry.
that. So it could be an operation of a mini operation of two or three transfers in game week three, and I'm planning to get Chilwell and Nkunku or Jackson, whichever one does well for Chelsea for a good fixture swing for them.
Got another question then. This one's from Nasri Abdu, and he says, when is the perfect time to wildcard?
I think delayed as possible. You have to delay your wild card. The strategy that I had last year really worked well because by trying to delay it, you're having a wild card when no one else has. So you're having an advantage. You have to be ready to get hits, to take all the hits when everybody's wild carding. But I think you have a higher advantage of having it up the sleeve when no one else has.
Yeah, that's an interesting
Late.
point actually. Yeah, because in FPL you're playing against the field, you're playing against everyone. So yeah, if you're wildcarding later, I suppose that does make sense because you're doing something that not many others are. Yeah, interesting. Okay. One question here from FPL Teens. He says, eye test or stats? And he said, were you able to watch every single game or did you rely on stats most of the time when you made decisions?
I guess I'm an eye test manager. You're okay by watching one or two games a week because physically you won't have much time to watch every of 10 Premier League games because the rest you could go away. You could get away with extended highlights, but there are it's not like all 20 teams are FPL relevant. You have to pick out of four or five really hot streak teams and watch their games at least. It's not like you have to watch every game. So it's only when it comes to the games with FPL relevant players you can eye test them and pretty much trust your gut really pick.
Yeah, I'm the same. I do watch lots of games, but yeah, there's lots of games that are largely irrelevant. So yeah, I'm mostly a stats guy. I'll watch match of the day and that sort of thing. Watch as many games as possible that I feel irrelevant. But yeah, stats don't lie. So I think I'm the same. More of a stats guy, but do factor eye testing as well. I suppose it'd be like 75-25% if I had to balance it between the two.
Yeah,
Uh,
there are certainly stats that shouldn't be undervalued because they're really important, and it's important to read through them. It's not just knowing stats. You have to know which one is telling you something. Otherwise,
right.
they're-
So which stats then do you actually look at? Is it expected goals, shots in the box,
yeah,
XGC?
yeah, absolutely. The major stats that really tells you about sustainability of some players. Let's say how the XG. I've written everything in the book in terms of the stats that I follow, and Fantasy Football Scout has really covered all the stats that you need to. So basically, having access to it, you pretty much get all you need comparing players. And I'm using like player comparison because sometimes you have a perception of a player, but when you look at the stats, you realize that you haven't been watching him a lot. So there's a lot to miss out if you don't look at the stats. So um, I think you have to follow stats as well.
Yeah, I agree with that. I'd much rather a player who's got really good underlying numbers but's blanked a few games in a row than someone who's scored for 3 games in a row but from 3 really low XG shots, for example. Which sounds crazy, but yeah, it's not just about the FPL returns. Final question here. Frank Tegerty says, ketchup in the fridge or in the cupboard?
I think it should be in the fridge.
No, what do you mean in the fridge? Surely cupboard.
The fact with the sauces I am using for my food, they have. I don't like ketchup a lot. It's only with French fries,
Yeah,
and I like it cold for some reason. Most
yeah.
of the sauces I like them cold,
Uh-huh.
so I always keep it in the fridge. So.
Excellent, good answer. All right, lastly then, so you've released this new book called Winning FPL. It's an excellent read. Ali sent me an early copy, which I had a look through. He is donating 30% of the proceeds to Street Child United, who are a charity. So it's for a good cause. As I say, there's a link below to check it out. Recommend giving it a read before the season kicks off. Tell us a bit about the book, Ali.
It basically has everything that I've been following, basic principles that I've been following in the last 2 seasons, and what has helped me a lot, based on practical examples. It's not just the theory that I've been talking about, but I've pretty much given an example in everything I've been writing about. So it's a good read. You can read it in one go. It's not too long. I've tried to make it as concise as possible because we all are busy with our own stuff, and reading that book should be enjoyable. With the season around the corner, I think you'll have enough time and benefit from what I've written there. Hopefully, help some of the managers to up their games. I would be completely, over the moon if someone from the readers really wins it in the end, because and plus the impact I wanted to make to Street Child United. I really like that charity, and I wanted to do something good, at least from my side, even if it's a minimum.
Yeah, it was an enjoyable read. You're right, yeah. And as I said earlier, Ali came first last season, but 215th the season before, so it is no fluke. Yeah, I did enjoy reading it. It covers things like the right times to take risks, like playing tactics, psychology, even like the highs and lows of FPL, which I'm sure you experienced at times last season. I can't imagine the stress of that run at number one, and will you hold on to it or not? So yeah, as I say, a link below to that as well if you want to check it out. Ali, it's been great chatting to you again. Wish you all the best this season. So yeah, if you want to check out Ali on Twitter, he's at FPL Guns. The ebook will be below. Best of luck this season, Ali. Thanks for everything.
Thank you, Oscar. Likewise. I'd like to you as well.